A really good tip that recruiters can do is as you're reading through your email, after every sentence, ask yourself, so what? So for example, if you're saying, hi Sam, I hope this email finds you well. So what? Like you as a reader, you're not consciously asking this, but unconsciously your brain is looking for the so what that gets the like ding, 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 ding. And so if you're cluttering your email with filler stuff or even stuff that is too polite, as long as you have a polite tone, you don't have to say like, I hope this email finds you well.
Initiating becoming a hiring machine sequence in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, it's Sam Keenley, and welcome back to Becoming a Hiring Machine. This is the show dedicated to fixing recruitment by going beyond saying what needs to change and instead teaches you how to make that change. Today, we've got a great Tactical Tuesday episode ahead of us, but before we get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about the show. Essentially, we have shows within the show here. Some days we have interviews with industry thought leaders and others who are shaking up the space, while other days we cover trending topics. Stop by every Tuesday like today for a Tactical Tuesday episode where we go deep on how to do something that's going to help you drive better results in your day-to-day. And occasionally you get a mic drop episode from Matt where he shares something that he's been thinking about within the recruitment space and wants you to know. Now, as a reminder, if you like the content that we share here on the show, make sure that you subscribe for more. All right, today's Tactical Tuesday. If you haven't yet, make sure that you go listen into the episode we released last week with Will Spengler, episode 195, because today's Tactical Tuesday is part 2, building off of the conversation that he and Vivien discussed. More specifically, today we're going to get into better content. So what's that look like? How do you craft it? And we've got a couple very tactical tips sprinkled in along the way. So here to chat through this is your favorite Tactical Tuesday co-host, Vivien. Vivien, welcome.
Hello, hello.
All right, well, I know that you've already had this conversation and you just get to recall all the best moments of it. So better content was a specific part of the conversation that you and Will had. So you're just like, this is something we can definitely go deeper on from a Tactical Tuesday standpoint. And you've got a couple different, not rabbit holes to go down, but very specific points that we can pull out and make a little bit more tactical. So what's the first one that you want to go through?
All right. So I just added a third one mentally, and I'm going to start with that one because originally we talked about two.
It's a bonus one.
First...
Everyone gets a bonus.
So before we dive into the other two that, I mean, listeners are never going to know which one is which, but some behind the scenes thoughts on how these podcasts get made. But the first one I would start with is keep your word count to between 400 to 600 words. There's been plenty of studies that have been done on what emails actually get read and get engagement, and the length of the email itself does matter. If it's too short, it's probably not communicating enough to get somebody interested. It doesn't give them enough information. Somebody has to have enough information to act on something and to want to act on something. So if it's too short, usually below 400 words, you're probably not conveying everything that you could be conveying to nudge them just enough to actually engage back with you. Then if it's too long, people open the email, are overwhelmed by the wall of text that is greeting them not so nicely, and they will just click right out of it because they're like, ugh, not again. You have to think about it in this way. How much are you reading every single day? How many emails are you reading? How many resumes as a recruiter are you reading? And as not recruiters, but candidates, for their day-to-day job, they're dealing with emails, they're dealing with papers, they're dealing with internal messages. People are exhausted from reading. So if you greet them with a wall of text, it's not going to be that great. It's not going to be well received. Keep it between 400 to 600 words.
Okay. Readability is part of that. Is there anything in there about like white space? How do you break it up? Is it kind of just like a few sentences, break, a few sentences, break? Is it try to get everything in one paragraph? Anything, any tips in there just from what you've seen?
Usually what worked really well for me is to break it up into a couple of paragraphs, but also do bullet points just because it breaks things up and highlight some things, make it a little bit more like bold. It's not, don't go crazy with emojis and like exclamation points. That's not going to be good, but space it out a little bit so that you have a couple of different paragraphs and bullet points. Visually, it breaks things up and it's easier to just scan through it if it's a little bit more broken apart. As a recruiter, think about resumes. You like resumes that have bullet points, that have different sized headers. It's easier for you to quickly at a glance without having to read and actually analyze and think about it. It's easier for you to figure out this is the employer name, this is the title, these are the actual bullet points of responsibilities. If it's just a big essay where there's nothing in bold, the font is not bigger for anything to stand out where you can kind of know what is what, it makes it really hard to read. You get exhausted too quickly, and it's it's something that de-incentivizes you from really diving into it. Whereas if it's a well visually structured resume, as an example, or even email, you're more likely to skim it successfully, where even when you're just skimming it, you get exactly what you need to make a decision to either engage with it or just ignore it.
Yep. I love that. Okay. What's number 2?
Number 2, content. Recruiters make this big mistake of thinking they're a little bit overconfident. And I say this with love, guys. I want to help you, so don't take this the wrong way. But recruiters think that it's so obvious what they're trying to convey. And it's just this blind spot of, you have all of this information because you talk to the hiring manager. So when you're reading through the job description and the emails that you're sending, you're reading through it with that context and background knowledge that the recipient has no clue. And so you have to phrase things in a concise and good way. So a really good tip that recruiters can do is, as you're reading through your email, after every sentence, ask yourself, so what? So for example, if you're saying, hi Sam, I hope this email finds you well. I hope this email finds you well. So what? Like, you as a reader, you're not consciously asking this, but unconsciously your brain is looking for the so what that gets the like ding 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 ding. That's the one. That's the nugget I was looking for. And so if you're cluttering your email with filler stuff or even stuff that is too polite, everybody, as long as you have a polite tone, you don't have to say like, I hope this email finds you well. And there's so many different memes of like, this is how your email finds me, and the person is absolutely devastated. It's usually it doesn't make a difference. And so when you ask, I hope this email finds you well, so what? Get to the point, you know? So
Yep.
Ask yourself, so what, after every single sentence and if you can't answer the so what, time to rethink it.
So would you usually say rethink it in terms of rephrase it, or rethink it like, does it even need to be in here? Should I just remove it?
Both. So with, I hope this email finds you well, you can totally skip that. You can save yourself a couple of words to actually put in something valuable, where the so what will be more like a ding, ding, ding. But if you say, I am recruiting, I'm looking for a software engineer that can help a SaaS company with cloud infrastructure, for example, then it's like, okay, so what? Like it's getting there, but it's not really, I am one. Why would I want to engage with this in particular? So you have to put something that would make this particular person interested in that. You have to, maybe candidates are not getting reached out by recruiters at all. You don't know this. So either way, you have to stand out and make it really obvious as to why would they want to be a software developer engineer for cloud infrastructure? What is so special about this in particular? If you keep it at a very surface level, you're going to get very surface level feedback and engagement, meaning probably very low and non-existent. But if you do something that sparks their interest, where there's some kind of challenge or some kind of expertise that they would be looking for, or they're looking for a particular solution or end goal by hiring this particular person, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. This is like the car metaphor. But essentially you want to give them something where there's like, oh, I'd be interested in that. I've always wanted to get into that. Or like, oh, I just finished a project. I'm actually looking for something like this. But if you're keeping it too vague and general, very surface level, it's not going to work that well.
Yeah.
The so what is not going to get answered.
If you want to convey friendliness early on, there's better ways of doing it. Do your research about them, figure out, like, if they like beach volleyball, talk about like, hey, saw it was sunny in San Diego this weekend, hope you got to hit out and play volleyball. I don't like, whatever it is to do that point. Or one thing I like more for the niche recruiters that you brought up the other week was the best authors write with cliffhanger, so it flows on to the next thing. Like, have that information to just build off of. So hope your little one's doing well. Hope you and I talk about, we've been on a kick lately because I've been talking about our yard needing some rain. It's needed some love. It's like, hey, hope your grass is finally growing with all that rain you've gotten lately. Like, there's better ways of doing it than hope this message finds you well. So yeah, just random ADHD thoughts right there from me. So let's get to the bonus third point.
Number 3, it's surprising spam trigger words and Will pointed a couple out that even surprised me. The one that he pointed out that really took me by surprise was the word finance. He recruits in the finance space, and yet anytime that he uses finance, it's a spam word trigger. And the reason why is because a lot of scammers, they say, finance this, finance that. So it's a very easy kind of detectable thing to use to then get nudged into the spam folder as opposed to the actual inbox. And so there are plenty more, and there are a couple of different providers that, and you can Google them. There's so many different ones that are free where you can plug them in. You can plug in your email and it will highlight everything that is a spam trigger word, and it will offer you some alternatives. But if you don't believe me, a couple that are actual like spam trigger words is stuff like apply now, anything that says like urgent or click this or call now. So very salesy, very often like repeat it one, or even for recruiters specifically, apply now, hiring immediately, we are hiring. And I know these are extremely common, but this is where you have to get really creative. Another one is like high salary, extra income, sign on bonus. I mean, how many on social media I get pinged about extra income opportunities. I can make $1,000 a day from home kind of stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This sounds so scammy. But it happens. And so you want to make sure that you're not hitting on any of these. Another one that is something that people don't realize is amazing offer, amazing opportunity. Everybody says amazing opportunity if you're in recruiter. I have been guilty of that myself. So I probably contributed to these existing from me being a recruiter. But stuff like dream job, perfect fit, or fast track your career. This is the type of stuff that most of you listeners, you probably have used at least one of these within the last week or month. And now multiply that by the however million English speaking recruiters there are in the world. And suddenly every recruiter email sounds the same, which makes this a very predictable pattern for spam filters to catch these. And this is also where email doesn't stand out because you sound like exactly this, like any other recruiter. And no recruiter likes hearing this, but I'm telling you this so that you can change your ways so you can be ahead of the curve, because right now majority of recruiters are still doing all of these things. And if you, and I'm going to use one of those spam trigger words, if you act now, if you act fast, you can change things around and you can get quite ahead, because that gap between recruiters that are going to wait until they're forced to do it because they have no other choice. But if you start now and start doing it now, that gap between them actually being pigeonholed and needing to make that change and being forced into that, it's going to be 6 months down the line. But 6 months as a recruiter, that's a long time where you can get ahead. And in 6 months, it's going to be the end of the year. And are you meeting your targets or not?
Yeah, that's so true. These are good ones. This has been a very tactical one for us, which is nice for us to be able to go up and down. Any other final parting thoughts on this one before we wrap up?
Start doing things differently. Will said it perfectly towards the end of the podcast, where it's basically like make these changes or die. There's a book, and I've never actually read it, but I keep hearing about the title. It's as a business, you're either growing or dying, and everything in nature is either growing or dying. And this applies to recruiters as well. And even if you are still growing, even with all of these, you're still in the lucky category, but luck is not the recipe for success. You have to create your own luck. So you're writing out that luck. And I don't want to make this sound like too gloom and doom that luck eventually runs out. Unfortunately, it does. But you want to start paving the way and planting the seeds for more luck to come your way in the near future. And the sooner you start planting those seeds and nurturing them, it is still springtime in some areas. Charleston is the one that just decided to move into summer.
Yeah.
But it's still time to plant the seeds and grow something during the springtime so that you will have an abundant autumn harvest.
Yep. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up that point. Growing or dying, it sounds dramatic, but even this is something that we've been doing with our marketing lately. Is a lot of this spans industries, this span roles, whether you're in marketing, sales, recruitment, building, it could be anything. Most of us think status quo equals parity with what we're doing, but so often status quo is actually, it's on the dying curve. It's not on the growth curve, because you're doing what's been done before. It's often following best practice, and as more and more people start doing it, amazing opportunity, apply now. That's going to start falling into spam traps. It's going to start falling into people just mentally filtering out and tuning out from. So beware of, staying comfortable, status quo. Like you said, unfortunately, there really aren't three options or status quo. Yeah, you might be keeping status quo for a month, a quarter, 2 quarters, but if you keep running that 2, 3, 5 years from now, if you look at your overall performance, it's definitely going to be on the declining side versus the up and up. So that's a good tough love lesson from Vivien right there.
Love you guys.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, this has been fun as always. Appreciate you coming in and sharing this knowledge with us, sharing the hard hitting facts, things that we need to think about to truly help to level us up. So thank you for that. All right. Well, as we wrap, Becoming a Hiring Machine is a production of Loxo. If you like this episode, but you're not sure where to go next, we do have a link to a similar one. You can find that within the show notes and the description of your favorite podcast streaming platform, as well as on our website. We do have full video episodes available on YouTube. If you ever have questions, send them our way, podcast@loxo.co. And lastly, if you love this episode, please make sure to leave us a quick rating in your podcast streaming platform. It takes you 3 seconds, but it's going to help other recruiters like you to find us. So, all right, everyone, that's the show. It's another great Tactical Tuesday with Vivien. Until next time, bye, y'all.